99% of the time, it's like my brother's mother's brother's sister's mom's cat died of cancer.
Doctors are kind of constantly like, just keep taking the medication. It's fine. And
one time someone said, is it over yet? Like,
I get that a lot.
Yeah, I still get that.
So, hi guys, welcome to this episode of Inspired Comforts podcast. So, at Inspired Comforts, we're basically trying to do two things. Firstly, we make like adaptive fashion for people going through chemotherapy, dialysis, post-surgery. And then secondly, we're at the same time trying to build a community for people like you and many others to come together and feel heard and understood. Let's do like brief intros for all of you. We can start with Dani.
Oh yeah, hi, I'm Dani. I'm also Dani Trops on Instagram. So this is my married name, Danielle Walls. I guess like really, really short intro of me. I'm a breast cancer survivor. I was diagnosed when I was 30 years old, and I am about 8 years out of diagnosis, which is wild and crazy to say that. I don't know how much of an intro you want, but that's like a little bit about me. Short and sweet.
Yeah, hi. My name is Grace. I was diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer in February of 2025 at 29 years old. I just finished 16 rounds of chemo, and I am preparing for a double mastectomy this fall.
Okay.
Amazing. We can definitely guide you through it.
Perfect.
I also did a double mastectomy, so if you have any questions, please.
Amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
I had a bilateral mastectomy too. I actually had 6 breast surgeries because I was a disaster, but that's another story. It's like very rare for that to happen. So if you ever need advice on surgeries, like definitely I can help you with that. But my name is Krystal, not Veronica Garcia. I was diagnosed at 33 years old 2 years ago. And I also did chemotherapy. Altogether, I had 9 surgeries, and I currently have my own little mentor group here in South Florida. But my hair is finally growing back, so this is my.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But when your hair grows back like a little bit like this, you can get like these certain extensions I can teach you about, and literally like it just looks like your normal hair. It's awesome.
Yeah, I need all the hair growth tips. I'm 3 weeks out from chemo, and I'm like, when is it gonna start? I have like these little like baby feathers, but I'm waiting for like the buzz cut to come through.
It will.
It's gonna come quicker than you think, and I'll give you some advice on like the serums that I use and stuff like that. But like I said, we're a couple of years out. We're a year and a half out from chemo, and you could wear like a bob.
That's incredible.
Pretty good. And then when you're 8 years out, you can have that.
Look at the back.
It took a while. Thank you.
It's just motivation for the future.
Yeah. Progress.
So you all have like very different creator bases. For example, Krystal, you have your own podcast and you do the breasties thing where you try to build a community with other women. And then Grace, you talk a lot about like how your husband has supported you throughout your journey and the relationship aspect of the support. And then Dani, I saw that you talk a lot about how life after cancer has been, and people think that once you've survived cancer, that's the end of that. But you talk about that it's an endless journey and people don't really understand that. So I guess my first question would be that what has been an unexpected challenge in your journey? And we can start from like Dani and then Grace and Krystal.
I think survivors start from when you're diagnosed. Like you become a survivor right from that point of everything. So it really it kind of starts from there. But like after, let's use air quotes, active treatment, which is, chemotherapy, radiation, all of that, surgeries, everything like that. I guess I didn't really know, or I wasn't really prepared for what survivorship brought after that. So I'm even 8 years out and I'm in like this different chapter of survivorship. But I feel like survivorship is a lifelong journey because healing is not linear. Healing is not something that is just, a road upwards even. It's like there are dips and turns and bumpiness along the road. And I'm experiencing like this different chapter of survivorship right now that I didn't necessarily experience even the couple years after I survived, like, or after I went through active treatment, I should say. So I feel like that wasn't really something that was prepared. Not a lot of resources too for younger people who are going through cancer and cancer survivorship. And that is something that I'm definitely learning now, is how much I have to advocate for myself with that, because I feel like doctors are kind of constantly like, just keep taking the medication. It's fine. And there are not a lot of solutions for the different side effects and things that we do experience within survivorship and like mental health things. I feel like I'm learning as I'm going, and I'm realizing it really is a lifelong thing. So yeah.
Yeah, Dani, I feel like you hit the nail on the head. When I was diagnosed, I was very unprepared. I did not think I had cancer. I feel like I have been mourning kind of my life before cancer. That has been really hard for me. And starting to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. Like, as a cancer survivor, we have many unknowns. We are navigating not only throughout treatment, but like you said, when you're done with active treatment, life has changed, and learning how to navigate that, particularly as a young woman, has been tricky. And with a lot of my community, they have not been diagnosed with cancer. So it's been so helpful for me to lean on the Instagram community. There is an incredible community of young breast cancer survivors that have honestly really helped me just kind of cope with everyday symptoms and survivorship. And I'm very grateful for that. But I would say overall, just coping with the new normal, I don't think I was prepared for.
I definitely agree with you, ladies, 110%. For me, it's like my type of cancer. I'm in a chemically induced menopause right now, and
Same.
Whoever hears of that, and the injections, the medications. I'm on a new medication called Krystal. It just came out, so like dealing with those side effects and all that. But for me, when I was going through it, Dani, you can probably relate to me, because when you went through it, there's probably not many people talking about it on Instagram. TikTok wasn't even a thing, but you probably were like going on Google, right? So when I was diagnosed 2 years ago, there were some like cancer influencers on TikTok, but the people that were expressing and sharing their stories, they were really negative. So I went into this whole cancer journey like with a negative mindset, because everybody would just film themselves crying and in pain and all that. And I didn't know anyone about cancer, no one in my family, no friends. So I was kind of like, I felt really alone. So I promised myself that like after I was diagnosed and I was like on the journey of survivorship, I would be that person for someone to come to. So I said, I will, any person that reaches out to me, like I'll guide them through it, because being lonely, lonely, not being able to relate to people, especially your own friends and your family, you tell them all that's going on and they're like, okay, like you're going to be great. You're going to be fine. And they don't understand it. That's why having a community is so important, because I can call my friend and be like, what are you doing for those hot flashes? Because my mom's in menopause, but hers are fine. Mine are like deeply rooted, And and like, is it, one time someone said, is it over yet? Like, is it over?
I get that a lot.
I still get that. And it's been that many years.
So actually,
over. Like,
I just want to build on that actually, and I wanted to ask you guys that what is like one thing that you've gotten to hear a lot ever since your diagnosis, which you feel is something that you should not say to people diagnosed at all?
I just did a video on this, honestly, actually. Because
I actually saw that.
For me at least, and you guys, I'm sure there's a million. There's like so many different things, but the at least statements really get me, because I feel like, I mean, for me now, it's I'm so many years out, and people are like, at least you're 8 years out, and it's like, hold on, I'm in chemical menopause, as you were saying, Krystal. Like, I have so many different things. I just started getting all of these crazy side effects after being on this medication for 7 years. Like, no, it doesn't stop. So you can't say at least. And I'm sure for you, Grace, it's like, at least you're done with chemo.
I feel that so deep in my soul. And I get so triggered when I tell somebody my diagnosis, and they'll say, oh, that's the bad one, right? Relating to triple negative. And I'm like, I don't even know what to say. And
No,
I've gotten that. I've gotten, oh, that's the one that recurs the most often, right? And just
not
I
helpful.
it's not helpful. It's not encouraging. And I also feel like triple negative has just gotten a really bad rap over the years. I mean,
For
it has
sure.
come such a long way, which I am so appreciative of. And I feel like I'm on a mission to kind of spread that word, where of course it's still incredibly scary, but we now have Keytruda as a targeted therapy, and the statistics have gotten better, but it's also just incredibly rude to say that to somebody. So that is something that I am learning to handle. And it still honestly makes me speechless every time I hear it.
And 99% of the time, it's like my brother's mother's brother's sister's mom's cat died of cancer.
Yep.
Okay, how's that gonna help me? Or God gives his best battles to the strongest soldiers.
I've gotten that one.
I hate that one.
Like, oh, I got one time, you know, like I'm so happy everything's okay, but like if there was someone that could handle it, it was definitely you.
And you're like, what?
You're like, what am I supposed to do with that? I don't.
Yeah.
Not a compliment.
I mean, thanks.
Right? But also no.
I feel like a lot of these should be really obvious that you shouldn't say these. I'm
People
surprised.
have good intentions. I think they get really
Yeah.
uncomfortable. But that's the other thing that I think as survivors, we need to really stand on our business for, is that we don't have to shrink our feelings and shrink what we feel, and like shrink the thoughts that can come out to make other people feel comfortable. I feel like we need to make them feel uncomfortable. Like you said, Grace, getting okay with the uncomfortable, it's important. And we need to educate the people that are supporting us on that, on how they can be better supported people around us.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
also
absolutely.
feel like when people hear about something negative, their immediate response is, how can we fix this? How can we give a solution? And with
Yeah.
something like cancer, there's no solution you can give. So they kind of end up saying the wrong thing because of that, because they're trying to fix it.
I think that's where advocacy comes in, because to be honest, like I don't really know many people that had cancer, but if someone was to say like 2 years ago, I have cancer, in my mind, that means death. Like you're going to die. Like I didn't realize the rate of survivor. Like you can survive this thing. That's me being naive, not being educated on it. So when people say stuff like that, for me, I don't get offended. I just laugh. But like, because I know if someone said that 2 years ago, maybe I would have said that. So now when someone says, oh, like at least you have like the good cancer, well, let's sit down. Let's talk about that. No cancer is good, because even though you might be in remission, the rest of your life, you have to worry about this. And all the maintenance medications are worse than chemo, to be straightforward with you guys. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, so I think more education, more advocacy. And I think that cancer is a topic that's being talked about a lot more like than 8 years ago, Dani. Like people are more aware of everything. And I think that now that we have advocates out there talking about it, I think people are starting to understand like what they can and can't say, or like they know the terms to use. Like I've heard so many people say, oh, are you in, it's called remission, right? Like I was just reading about that. So I think people are starting to like understand it more.
That's true. And I also feel like people like you who are actually creating space in the media to educate people, you know, you saw that gap and you decided to fill it. So that's definitely helping that. So you guys are doing an amazing job at that. Uh, my next question would be that how has your experience with cancer impacted your relationships with like your family, friends, dating life, even work?
All of those are really different, I feel like. When I was first done with active treatments and surgeries and whatnot, I actually became newly single. I went into the dating world, you know, after having a mastectomy and a reconstruction, and that was a completely new and different experience and very hard to navigate. Ultimately, I'm very grateful to say, like, I met an amazing man, and we are now married, but that was definitely something that changed how I went into like intimate relationships. I think friendship wise, it definitely showed some different ways of how people support, and it definitely showed me how to create boundaries and how to also just use and preserve my energy in ways that I don't think I used to do. Make sure my family knows how to support me and be a better communicator and how I can tell them what I need, and having some uncomfortable conversations too. That really.
When I was first diagnosed, my husband and I had been only married for a year and a half. This was not something that we were prepared for, and it was incredibly scary. And I'm very grateful for the partner that I have, and I also feel like it really taught us to be even better communicators. Because again, this is just something that you're never prepared for a cancer diagnosis, but particularly when you're newly married, we were family planning, talking about having kids. Obviously, that is on pause. I am personally working on being more open with my family and friends. I have always been the kind of person who I'm like, I'm fine, I'm good, I got this. And it's almost like I don't want people to worry about me. And I'm trying to work on telling myself it's okay to open up a little bit more and say, this has been incredibly hard. I have stopped my life. I am like unable to do the things that I used to do with friends, with family. And so I would say for me, I'm trying to work a little bit more on being more vulnerable with friends and family on how I'm feeling. But yeah, the relationship dynamics, it's ever evolving. And I'm sure it will continue to do so in survivorship for sure.
I think that my relationships are definitely have been, I don't want to say tarnished, but things are a lot different than 2 years ago. I have not dated. I was single throughout my entire treatment. I did not date. I have not been sexually active. Unfortunately, the side effects of my medications are really bad. So I'm kind of navigating that right now. And I don't want to say embarrassing, but it kind of is a little embarrassing to go into a new relationship, kind of like putting all this trauma on somebody. So I get a little nervous. I'm very upfront about everything, but like not knowing if I can have kids and stuff like that is also a big question mark, because most men, want kids. And at our age right now, it's like, they want to make sure you can have kids, live a long life. And those are big question marks for us. We don't know. I don't know what the next 10 years are going to look like. Can I have kids? The doctors say it's in God's hands. I haven't had a period in a couple of years. So, it's kind of difficult to navigate that. And I do have a guy friend that I asked, like, would you want the girl to tell you from day one? He's like, absolutely. But I'm like, but I don't agree with that, because what if I want them to kind of like fall in love with me first and then trauma dump? But so that's where I'm kind of in the middle. Me and my girlfriends are always talking about, like, when do you be honest? Like, when do you tell them, hey, like,
if you ever want to talk about it, I'm happy to talk about that.
Yeah, these discussions we have, like, all like my friends are all on Hinge and all that. Like, all right, we've gone 2 dates already. Do I tell them I have cancer? So like that's navigating, that's kind of difficult. And then friendships, I still have my best friends, but I do notice that I don't relate to a lot of people anymore. Like, they want to go out drinking, smoking, do all that. I'm actually sober. I don't smoke. I don't drink. So the social scene now looks a little bit different. I mean, I still go out, I still have fun, I still dance on the table till 4 a.m., but just sober. But I feel like
good for you for having that energy. I love that.
Some people are like, come on, you can have a sip, you can have a shot, like, it's not going to kill you. And I'm like, actually, according to the studies on Harvard University, yes, it will kill me. So, yeah, it definitely has been a lot different in the last 2 years.
Thank you for sharing that, all of you. Now I have like a specific question for each one of you. So Krystal, I'll start with you. So you decided to build this community called like Talk Breasty to Me, and then the podcast. What was the name again? Skitty? Could you?
Shitty titty, the shitty titty talk. So it's spelled shitty, but it's like shitty titty, like.
Yes, love the name, honestly. So I was like, what inspired you to like specifically go into that niche, like building a community where you can meet up and do all of that?
Of course. So like I said earlier, when I was diagnosed, I didn't have anybody to turn to, and social media was so negative. So I was like, after my cancer journey, yes, it sucked, but it wasn't to be honest, it sucked, but it wasn't as bad as what it was portrayed on TikTok. Like the girls that I seen on TikTok were just bawling, crying every day, showing their cuts and their mastectomy. And yeah, we have all that, but I thought that I wanted to bring a positive impact to people to see like, okay, yeah, you're going to have chemo, but you're going to have a week in between where it could be fun. Like I went on yachts in between. Like I literally was at, I don't know if you guys know much about Miami, but I was in the club till 5, 6 a.m. Like you can still have normalcy in between sessions, in between surgeries. That's another story. But I actually, so my doctor introduced me to another woman. She has metastatic breast cancer, and she's my podcast partner. So we didn't know each other from TikTok or Instagram. She actually never talked about her journey. She was diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer at 28 years old. So when she got diagnosed, it was really hard for her. So she never talked about it. So I met her at a breast cancer event, and we just wouldn't shut up. We were not like nonstop, and we were like, she has so much knowledge. We're like similar ages. We both like, might have to have kids through IVF. We're both in in chemically induced menopause. So we were like, we just one day just met up and just started talking. And we didn't shut up for like 3 hours. And we were like, why don't we like start something? So we just started this like little podcast. We had our surgical oncologist on it. Like we had a couple of our doctors, some of our friends. And then we were like, this is legit. So then I was like, let's start meetups. And she actually, she just had a baby through surrogacy and stuff like that. And I actually moved like an hour and a half away from her. So we're still in contact like every day, but she's a little bit more involved in, just living her life, unfortunately, with the metastatic. She just wants to have fun, travel. She is working as a nurse. But we're still, we still are in contact. We try to do meetups in between both of our homes. So like a couple weeks ago, we did a beach meetup. We had like 30 survivors.
It's awesome.
And all ages from 19 to like 70 and all cancer. So my podcast and my meetups are all cancer survivors. Even previvors are invited as well. I don't care. I try to have women because when men are involved, it's a little uncomfortable. Girls like to talk about, what we like to talk about. So I don't include men. There's a couple events where I'll have with men, but like the woman will know, but like more intimate when you're in a bikini, or we have like little slumber parties and stuff, like all girls only.
Grace, my next question's for you. So, how you talked about how your husband has been super supportive. So if like someone who's listening is a husband whose wife has got diagnosed with breast cancer, what do you think your husband has done right that they should do as well?
I would say just honestly be incredibly supportive of just the changes that are going to happen. I was very upset about having to lose my hair from the time my oncologist, the first time I met with her, and she said I was going to go through chemo, all the way to when I had to shave my head. And honestly, the weeks after were incredibly hard for me. I remember I cried every day just because I felt like my hair was my identity. And it was very scary for me to wrap my head around my husband seeing me with a bald head, if that makes sense, because I think it was like, oh, you're going through chemo. That's when it kind of hits, when you have those kinds of changes. And something that I am just incredibly grateful for that he did was just be very supportive throughout that. And I would just say for anybody listening, just be supportive in the way that what your partner needs. You know your partner best, whether that's a listening ear, whether it's I'm going to get these things done because they're unable to do that right now because they're going through treatment. I think that's really important, and just kind of know your partner, know their needs, know where they're at with communicating, and just be patient. Like there's definitely I've had days where I don't feel like talking. I'm very emotional. I feel like I'm kind of spinning out of control. He's very patient. He's a great listener. And yeah, just know your partner, know their needs, and be patient.
Thanks for sharing that. So, Dani, my next question is for you. So you talk a lot in your social media page about how like people don't realize what life is like after you survive. air quotes. But how would you say that, or would you even say that people have invalidated your struggles after like you healed from cancer?
That's a good question. I mean, I think it depends on who in my life, but from the perspective of like being this far out of diagnosis, I think people automatically just assume you're good now. They see you, you know, as quote unquote healthy and cancer free and these types of things where they're just like, oh yeah, you're past it. And I think when you're in kind of those active points of the cancer journey, you know, people see you in the chemo chair, they see the changes that you've gone through, and they see you recovering from surgeries and all of those different things. So it is very tangible. Now I feel like the invalidation comes from the fact that a lot of the things that I experience are more invisible to people. Like they can't see the chronic pain that I have every day. They can't see the fatigue that is not just tiredness. It's like, you know, my brain wants to shut down and just not really focus on certain things, or the brain fog is really hard, or, you know, the chemical menopause of it, of where my body is shifting, like gaining weight and all of these different things that are just a little bit harder to understand why it's happening or that it's part of survivorship. So I think that's kind of the invalidation, I guess, of it, is that people just see you and they see you doing necessarily the normal things, you know, like going to work or going to the gym or those types of things, but they don't understand the struggle that's happening within the body and the mind. So I think that's part of the struggle after. And that, as I was saying before, is the lifelong kind of journey that you take. I don't want to call it necessarily always a struggle, because there are definitely positives of that. You know, there are perception changes and things that, you know, I feel so deeply now, and I didn't used to feel so deeply. And just allowing all these emotions is definitely a really positive shift for me. But there are definitely invisible things that you just can't see that survivors go through. So I think that's the part that's probably been the hardest to explain to even my oncology team, who's like, you're 8 years out. I don't know. And it's like, well, we're young women, to Krystal's point before, like young women going through this is hard. There's not a lot of resources for us. There's not a lot of different options that help us through the really hard parts that we experience. And there are different factors like family planning and the intimacy part of it, and the just being a young woman and seeing your peers doing all these different things that we don't necessarily get to do as easily, or maybe get to do at all. So I think those are definitely the things that are really hard to validate through survivorship.
You actually mentioned something that was going to be another question of mine, and you did answer it. So I want to ask Grace
Oh,
and
sorry.
Krystal as well. No, don't be sorry. Actually, that's great. I wanted to ask both of you, what was something positive that came out of this experience for you? Like Dani mentioned, that she feels more deeply now. So was it something like that for you guys as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, sorry,
No,
Krystal.
go ahead.
Are you sure?
Yes, go.
Okay. I would say just having gratitude for every day. I'm turning 30 on the 12th, and I am so grateful to be able to experience my 30th birthday. And I just have an immense amount of gratitude for experiencing every day, but also what my body is capable of. I remember thinking, I have 16 rounds of chemo. I'm going to feel terrible every day. I'm not going to want to do anything. I'm just going to be on the couch for this entire year. And that was absolutely not the case. Of course, I did have hard days, but there were so many days where I felt like me, where I was so joyful. And I'm very grateful for that, and that my body carried me through that experience. So overall, I would just say gratitude for every day, gratitude that I can see my 30s, and just gratitude for my body.
Amazing. For me, it's like I found my purpose. I feel like my whole life I've been kind of just like, you know, on a steady slope, work, having fun, taking care of my family. I don't have kids or anything, but like, you know, my parents and all that. And then that's it. I was just kind of going like this. Once I got diagnosed, it's like, Oh, wow. It wasn't a blessing in disguise. I don't want to say it like that, but it was almost like, okay, now I have like something else to live for. Like I want like helping people. My purpose is to get people through chemo, get them through their mastectomies, just someone to talk to. So yeah, for me, the positivity thing that came out of it was going to be my purpose.
So, guys, that's our time for today. And I'm so glad that all three of you were able to join and share your stories. And I truly believe that this is going to make any one person feel less alone and more understood just by listening to your experiences. So, I just wanted to thank you. And if there's anything else you want to add, you can.
Thank you
No,
so
thank
much.
you.
It was so wonderful connecting with all of you.
And
Yeah,
even like,
great.
this company, Inspire Aesthetics, I'm not Inspired. Oh my God, Inspired Comfort. Where I get Botox is called Inspire Aesthetics. So Inspired. I actually wore the clothes during my mastectomy. So
Oh,
Really?
I got the hoodie.
yeah, I did an unboxing for them. Like I just downloaded TikTok and they messaged me, and I actually to this day I still have the sweatshirts with the mastectomy pockets and everything, and it's like 20%
Love
cotton and
that.
everything, and like I wear them just like around the house when I'm working and stuff. So
That's
I definitely am a fan.
Love it.
So cool.
Thank you. Thank you for repping.
Thank
Yeah.
you.